daughter. I vow to help you love life, to always hold you with tenderness, to have the patience that love demands, to speak when words are needed, and to share in the silence when they are not, to make our home a place of warmth and abundant joy. I vow to honor your mother, her memory, and the forever bond you two will share. Death may end a life, but never your relationship. I will help you as you champion her legacy. I vow to always fill our days with as many belly laughs, snuggles, nighttime prayers, pancake breakfasts, and adventures as possible. Loving your dad in turn gave me you. You are our sun. You radiate light and shine brightly everywhere you go. You have been one of my life's greatest blessings. I love you and could not feel more privileged to have the honor of becoming your bonus mom. Thank you for all the love you have given me in return.
First, I'd like to recognize and congratulate Megan and Tom, the guests of honors this evening. I'd like to also compliment Megan on what a beautiful, elegant, and lovely bride she is. Megan and I have always had a very special relationship filled with lots of love and pride. I've told Megan many times that God has always had a plan for her, and the right person would come into her life, and that day is today, as you and Tom start a new beginning together as husband and wife. As Megan's dad, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell a few little stories about my youngest daughter.
Here they come.
As a little girl, Megan was very determined and very inquisitive. There was a time when we were in the Sam's Club and directed Megan not to touch the cactus plants. Several minutes later, we heard screams and crying. Sure enough, Megan was determined to touch and had a handful of needles. Another time, Megan was put in timeout. In her room, her mom and I glanced into the backyard and we saw Megan had pushed the window screen out and was playing with her friends. Megan also made it my responsibility to cheer her up when she was down. The solution back then was a trip to Dairy Queen. A Heath Bar Blizzard was always usually the answer to her problems. As she got older, some of the problems became larger and required different solutions. In high school, a phone call from school informed me that she had after-school detention for a dress code violation. Her school was over an hour away, and I told her, never let this happen again. Well, it did. Only this time, she bribed her sister into taking her home.
I was actually there for you for once.
During her first semester at the University of Florida, she would call and ask directions when she was lost or could not find a certain building. Having graduated from UF, I would give her my reference points. She later became a campus ambassador and took future students on tours of the campus. So she did learn a lot. Tom, as her new husband, I'd like you to make you aware of some of Megan's many talents that she may have hidden from you in the last year. Megan is quite actually musical. Ever since Megan learned to play the violin in high school, she's tried to entertain many of her guests. Megan also loved, when her mom was not home, to crank up the stereo so she and her sister could dance and sing. Also, Tom, Megan has tried her best in tennis and being a track star. Okay? I understand she's now perfected her golf skills. I hope that goes a little bit better than her attempts at track and tennis.
Track. There's the state finals.
Lastly, we're racing tonight. Megan is a people pleaser. She has a heart of gold, and she's always had a hard time saying no to people. I can vividly recall the countless deals she made with her older sister, The clothes she let her sister wear, only to be told no when she asked. Megan was also still complaining about $50 in the dolphin keychain that Leanne swindled out of her in exchange for a stereo system that worked only occasionally. Megan has always been the type of person to find a good quality in everyone. Even as a little girl, she showed so much compassion for others. I was not surprised when she decided to go into medicine. She finds joy in helping people and saving lives. But in all sincerity, Tom, you're one lucky man. You've earned the love, the trust, and the devotion of my little girl. Today is the day that I relinquish my duties to you. When her phone doesn't work, when your watch face cracks, when the car won't start, or scratches on it, or when she needs to tell someone her problems, she can now turn to you. Deb and I will always still be a phone call away, but you will be her main support now. Tom, we're so excited to welcome you, Connor, and your family into ours. Thank you for treating my daughter like gold. I know in my heart that you are her perfect match. I've been looking after girls for most of my life. In the past 20 plus years, I've taken care of my wife, 2 daughters, a mother-in-law, and 2 girl dogs. After all this time, I look forward to having another man in the family. I also look forward to the day that Jeff, myself, and I can play golf with you. P.S. Deb loves you because A, you're a Pitt graduate, and B, she still wants to dethrone you at Dose. I would again like to thank everyone who's made this such a beautiful and memorable evening. And please join me in raising a glass, okay, and congratulating the new Mr. and Mrs. Tom Stetson. Here's to their health, their success, and happiness. May God bless this marriage and everyone present.
I'm so excited to be here tonight. Just for the record, it's Leanne, not Luann. Planning a wedding is a lot of work, and I just wanted to take a moment to thank my parents for putting together this beautiful day for Megan and Tom. I am usually the one planning all of the events, so I am an event planner by trade. So it's so nice to see one that comes together so beautifully that I didn't have to plan and I can enjoy partaking in. Thank you for everybody who was here to be able to make today, to make this memorable wedding day happen for Megan and Tom. There is one story that always comes to mind when I think about my sister Megan and our relationship. It started when Megan was just an infant and my mom and dad had some friends over. I was about 3.5 or 4 years old, and I wandered my way into Megan's nursery and peeked my head into her perfectly made bassinet where she was bundled up nice and warm in her perfectly made bed. I stuck my hands in, pulled her out, put her on the floor, and told her to crawl. My mom rushed into the nursery with horror in her eyes, and I immediately knew I was in trouble. The problem was I didn't see anything wrong at the time because I was just wanting to play with my new best friend. And I had big expectations for her even at a few months old.
Days.
Days even. Most of the time it was Megan who followed me around and wanted to hang out with my friends or wear my clothes. But I remember a couple times where I loved being able to partake in my sister's life. I loved going over to Victoria's house with Megan for play dates. Even if her mom, or if her mom let me, most of the time. Usually Victoria and I would get in trouble for picking on Megan, and at the end of the day, I wasn't allowed back. I loved going to UF with Megan in college to visit and stay with her in her sorority house and relive my college days. I loved celebrating Megan's 30th birthdays with her PA friends. They find me to be the life of the party, especially when I pretend like I know medicine like Megan does. And most recently, I love coming to South Carolina to help Tom put on the biggest surprise engagement ever. Tom and I quickly bonded over all the details and how to keep Megan from finding out. Tom immediately understood what Megan's love language was. The sappier, the better. Right? So he pulled out all the stops to make this a truly memorable day. Megan cries for just about everything, but I could tell these tears were the tears that she had been waiting to cry her whole life. She had found her Mr. Wonderful. Tom, I am really looking forward to having you as the brother I always wanted, as well as being an uncle to my kids. Connor has the biggest heart, and I know I am so excited for him to get to know Oliver and Taylor. I look forward to many family get-togethers for years to come. Remember this special day as it is the day that your life together as husband and wife starts. To Megan and Tom, raise your glasses. May you always find comfort, strength, and endless happiness in each other. Please join me as I raise a glass to these two newlyweds.
Megan's asked me to share a story about her so our combined families can get a glimpse into her nature and her life before Tom. So I'm happy to recall a story, one story, that beautifully portrays our little girl. Megan's always been an adventure seeker. Just by the nature of her profession as a trauma PA, you can gather that she doesn't shy away from risk, peril, or distress. Being a mother of a child who loves excitement brings excitement to me as well, but also fear into my life. Before the start of the pandemic, Megan and I took yearly mother-daughter trips. We share a love of exploration, so Asheville, Maine, and even Israel were some of our destination spots. One common thread was ascending mountaintops for scenic views and spiritual renewal. One of my favorite memories was a trip we made to Acadia National Park in Maine. On this particular one, she wanted to view Acadia from the mountaintops. And after consulting with several locals, Megan selected a few moderate hikes for us to take. One that interested her, but certainly not me, was the Precipice Trail. Now, the definition of precipice should have given me a hint of the demands of this trail. Just glancing from the roadway made me quiver. Why would anyone want to climb a solid mass of pink granite? But Megan thought it would be challenging and certainly doable as she tried to convince me to give it a go. Now, I love adventure and a hike that goes along with heart pumping. But climbing 1,000 feet using metal ladders, rungs, and walking across narrow edges to reach the summit didn't seem safe or alluring. So with a firm no, even after minutes of, "We can do this," we got back into the car, and I thought I had won this dispute. Now, before I finish the story, did I tell you that the name Megan, by definition, means strong and capable? I'd like to add strategic and persistent to the definition. I should have known that this wasn't the end of the precipice conversation. On the last day, Megan insisted that we do the climb. She said she'd do it alone, and she gave me three choices. I could stay at the hotel, watch from the parking lot, or do a climb using the North Trail, which also leads to the summit without any difficult climbs or steep cliffs. She wasn't asking for my permission, but giving me my options. I'm told that the most difficult trails yield the greatest returns. Precipice certainly didn't disappoint. It was described as a trail not for the faint of heart. It is seriously steep, requires balance and agility. Hands can get sweaty on the iron railings as you inch your way up the side of the cliff face. If this was your idea of an adrenaline rush, then proceed. There was no way I was going to watch her climb from the car or remain at the hotel. So I did what I thought would be easiest and ascend using the alternate route up the backside of the mountain. Our promise was to meet one another at the summit and celebrate her achievement. So we arrived just as the sun was rising. Only a few hikers had begun the trek up the face, and I began my ascent up the backside of the mountain. Little did I know that I was the only one using this hike, and hikers use this to descend the mountain. I soon learned that I was totally alone, occasionally passing a hiker on their way down. What I thought was going to be a gentle, clearly marked path was not. My route was filled with granite rocks to climb. The trail was marked with only paint splashes and small stacks of rocks pointing the way. I mention this not because I want praise, but because Megan had led me to believe that this was going to be a piece of cake. Not so, not so. Occasionally I veer off course, realize my mistake, and recalculate. After an hour or so, I looked up and I could see Megan at the top, gazing down at me. She saw the exhaustion on my face and climbed several hundred feet down, grabbed my hand, and accompanied me back up the summit. She insisted that I get a glimpse of the view that she had awaited her after her climb, which, by the way, was the scariest thing that she had ever done. She prayed the entire way. Alone, it is truly a magical moment and made me realize what we're both capable of doing. Alone, we could endure challenges and achieve what was scary. It was so much sweeter when we could merge paths, hand in hand, and attain together what seemed daunting alone. Now, the reason I chose this story to illustrate Megan's nature is that she spent years traversing trails alone. But satisfaction and joy have always come from achieving the goals that she sets. But what she always yearned for was someone to join her on these rocky cliffs, iron runs, narrow pathways, and share her achievements. Tom, I hope you're not afraid of heights. You are now the one that will accompany her on those escapades. Some of the trails will be steep, and you'll have to navigate narrow pathways, watching your every step. Others are going to be monotonous, more like a walk in the park. But no matter the incline, the expeditions you take together will bring cherished memories, breathtaking experiences, and joy beyond your imagination. I pray for a lifetime of happiness as a couple and your new family. I promise she won't disappoint you as long as you're willing to love her with all your heart. Know when to meet her halfway, and when times get overwhelming, grab her by the hand and let her know that even the unattainable can be achieved together. We are so happy to have you, Connor, and your entire family is now part of ours. Congratulations.